Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Good Dram Show with me, Chris Goodrum. Well, this evening, what are we doing this evening? Well, I thought it's probably about time to look at Arran again. I mean, you know, I really like Arran, and with all the, well, not fuss I suppose, but all the hoo-ha surrounding their latest limited edition release, the Devils Punchbowl, I thought, well, as the distillery were kind enough to send me a sample of that, I should do a video of it. So, in the usual tradition that seems to be the way we're going now, I've got 2 bottlings from the distillery along with 2 independent bottlings. As you'll notice, there is no more of the punch bowl because that's all well and truly sold, and the 2 independent bottlings, well, I've just rummaged around in the sample drawer, so they're fairly old, but obviously I'll introduce them and the 2 distillery bottlings in due course. So first off, a bit of waffle then. Right, Arran. Okay, a few years ago, you know, Arran was the new kid on the block. I mean, we did Kilhoman last week, which is definitely the new kid on the block, but you know, once upon a time, you know, Arran was indeed you know, the new distillery, founded in 1993 by some chap called Harold Curry. Production started 3 years later in 1996, and for years, you know, there was you know, no age statement and that kind of release, and obviously it wasn't until sort of 2006 and the first sort of 10-year-old came online, and it was like, oh, Arran's kind of grown up. So, what to say about the distillery? I mean, apparently, I found some interesting information on the Arran website, and the reason, there was 3 reasons why Harold decided to build a distillery on Arran. Apparently, the first reason was due to the geology department at Glasgow University, who said that the water supply that would or does, as the case may be, feed the distillery from the Loch na Davy is allegedly the purest in the entirety of Scotland. So, you know, good starting point, it has to be said. The second reason that the Isle of Arran was good for building a distillery on was to do with its microclimate. Apparently the island is washed by the warm water that comes from the Gulf Stream and gives it, you know, a fairly sort of warm environment which allows for the speedy maturation of casks. Now, you'll know that if you've ever tasted, say, the Amrut bottling, which comes from India, how heat affects the maturation of the spirit. I mean, the Amrut is, and I forget now how old it exactly is, but it's not particularly old at all. But it tastes a lot older, and that's because the heat sort of, well, apart from obviously speeding up the maturation, obviously speeds up the evaporation as well. So you can't exactly leave a cask of whiskey for too long in a fairly warm environment, otherwise, well, you ain't going to end up with any liquid. And finally, the last interesting point about Arran was that it allegedly had a reputation for producing top quality spirit, albeit rather illegally. But so there you have it. There was the 3 reasons. I'm sure there was probably a few other reasons behind building a distillery on Arran, but allegedly those are the three main reasons. So, time to stop the waffle, and shall we introduce the range then tonight? Right, okay, piece of paper in hand, so I get the information correct. Right, first bottling we have here is the 12-year-old single cask release, batch number 1. This was released tail end of last year. It is non-chill filtered, non-coloured, as most of the best whiskies are, and bottled at 54.1. So as you know, I think it was back in episode 4 I did the 10-year-old and the 14-year-old. which are absolutely stunning bottlings. I remember years ago tasting what was the then the old 100 proof bottling, which I really enjoyed. So this is the sort of the follow on from that particular bottling, and we'll see what that's like. Bottling number 2, this little sample, or relatively large sample, thank you very much Arran Distillery for that, is the Punchbowl. Now, I've had to print out the list of casks because there's quite a fair few. So we've got, this is a vatting of various aged spirits, and James McTaggart, the head master distiller at Arran, has chosen 3 sherry butts from 1996, 6 bourbon barrels from 1996, 2 sherry butts from 1997, 8 sherry hogsheads from 1998, and 5 bourbon barrels of 2006 peated spirit. So we're expecting something quite interesting, I think, from that little lot, shall we say? And on to the 2 independent bottlings. The first one we have here is a AD Rattray, or an AD Rattray bottling, which was distilled in 1997, bottled 2 years ago, 2010, at 13 years of age. Obviously, no longer available. The liquid itself came to me at cask strength, although I, for the life of me, can't remember what strength it actually was, because I haven't got a note of it. But it was eventually bottled at 46%. So obviously, when we taste that, I will endeavour not to. Well, I don't know. We'll see what happens when we get there. Whether I've actually got enough left in the glass to put some water with. And finally, this one, as you can see, really interesting colour. This was a bottling done by Murray McDavid. It was distilled in 1996, bottled in 2008, so it's been around for a while, and it was finished in ex-Chateau Margaux casks. So this is the first time we've actually looked at a wine finish, and it is an intention of mine, along with a lot of other ideas for various episodes of the show, to do a wine finished episode. But for now, I think it would make an interesting comparison with the rest of the range, to see what sticking in a wine cask does. Incidentally, Arran is certainly no stranger to the use of weird and wonderful wine casks. They've bottled all manner of different things in different casks over the years, but a few years back they decided to sort of hone it down. So now they just do 2, one which is Amarone finished cask, and one which is a portwood cask. But so that has some history, and it can work together. So let's make a start then, shall we? Take me every moment in the night. Right, okay, so let's start with the 12-year-old. It's a bourbon cask, as you can see, fairly light but nicely rich colour. Let's see what the aromas are like, shall we? A lot of alcohol, obviously. Lovely sort of rich barley fruits. Little bit of tropical fruit, but that's kind of being sort of overpowered by the sort of alcohol and the salt, and the grassy character. I mean, it's a classic Arran. I mean, it's certainly got the fruit and the depth. It's a bit dusty, a little bit of tannin, a little bit of dusty spice, but it's just lots and lots of barley, and you can tell that it's got depth and fruit underneath the alcohol. So really very, very nice. Right, okay, palate time then. that's got some hit. Plenty of alcohol there. Quite fleshy fruit, a little bit tropical, plenty of sweet barley. Then you get the alcohol hit, and it is a hit, mouth-wateringly so. Once that passes, a little bit of sort of marzipan, almond coming from the oak, and that lovely sort of grassy character coming through towards the finish. Not as quite coastally as the nose would lead you to believe, but that is full. It sort of reminds me kind of a bit of a sort of maybe a New World Sauvignon Blanc, you know, a rich, fairly broad, sort of slightly grassy, apricot-y kind of style. So definitely needs a little bit of water, I think. So time to get the water then. Right, well that's brought out some of the natural oils, which often is the case. A little bit of linseed, but it's now displaying a lot more of the fruit character that you would expect from Arran. It's still quite barley sweet, but it's not quite so sweet. I guess it's sort of, I mean, there is a sort of a little sort of sugar coating, but it's more maybe sort of oaty, possibly porridge oats. Oh, I'm getting some gorgeous honey now. A little bit of lightly liquid perfumed orange. Oh, that is just evolving absolutely wonderful. That orange note is just, ooh. Yeah, that is nice. It's really opening up and really very pleasant. Yeah, slightly dusty, some slight dusty spices, but you know, altogether a really nice nose. So let's try the palate again, shall we? That's better. A lot more gentler now. More of the honey has come out. It's more mouth coating, filling. A bit more caramelly sort of notes now. The oak is probably is coming forward a little bit more now that the alcohol has diminished, but fleshy still, although you know, not as exuberantly fruity as say either the 10-year-old or the 14. It certainly has a lot more barley kind of character, and is not such an exuberant fruit monster, which some people may well sort of find unappealing. So the 12-year-old it's maybe tastes a bit more natural, maybe. So, but yeah, really very enjoyable. Right, now on for a bit of fun now. This is the Punch Bowl, the Devils Punchbowl. In the marketing blurb it said, well, you know, the devil gets the best tunes and now he's got the best whiskey. So they're making quite a claim. So let's see if they're right then, shall we? Well, the peat is noticeable for a start. Slightly earthy. There's a little bit of medicinal peat there, and that's blanketing the juicy fruit, which is really trying hard to come through. It's got a very briny, youthful character along with that peat, but if you smell hard enough, you can certainly see the origin of this malt. It certainly has that dense fruit. There's some nice oak, little bit of marzipan. You know, the American oak is slightly more dominant, but right at the edges you get the faintest of sherry dried fruit, and it has a kind of you could, if you didn't know that this was a vatting, and I was sticking my nose in for the first time, I would have thought it was a refill sherry cask, because the sherry component is very, very subtle, which is what you want it to be, really, and it just sort of adds that slight, like I say, dried fruit character, and it doesn't mask the intrinsic character of the whiskey itself. A little bit of barley husks, and sort of now giving it some aeration. The peat is sort of, you know, dissipating a little bit, and you're getting a lot more of the fruit and barley character. Certainly, it you know, has a, you know, you could draw a line between it and the 12-year-old. So a little bit of fragrant flowers now. That's a really intriguing and interesting nose, and I think you know, if you bought a bottle or two or more, I think you're certainly going to enjoy this if you like Arran. Right, palate time. Ooh, that's a complex beastie. Sort of opens up with slight oaty barley, with sort of lovely little bits of gristiness and granulated sugar. The alcohol is obviously keeping the fruit under control a little bit, but you can certainly sense that it's there. You can certainly sense there's a lovely weight of fruit. Reasonable amount of alcohol. It certainly doesn't feel quite as pungent as the 12-year-old, and indeed it's not quite as pungent because it's only 52.3. Gently peated, you know, nothing sort of too OTT, and the peat comes through towards the end on the finish with a slightly dry, dusty, slightly earthy character. You don't really get a, well, you get a sort of a feeling of salinity. It's kind of sitting here right in your cheeks after you've swirled it around a bit, but it's not like a full-on sort of, like, you know, salty intensity. It's kind of, again, very subtle, very elegant, which is, you know, a word I often tend to use when describing Arran. I think it has a sort of a lovely elegance to it, and that's really complex and really, really long. Now I'm getting a little bit of grass, but, you know, just stunningly good. Really, really interesting. So let's pop a little bit of water with that and see what that does to it. Now that makes it feel a lot younger. It's really bringing out the briny, sort of peaty, slightly astringent notes, but it's given that orange fruit note that we found on the nose neat a real sheen. Wonderfully polished. Less of the sherry character now. Mind you, less oak of all sorts, to be honest with you. It's more now sort of peat and fruit, but again, really gentle, really elegant. Just a little waft of smoke. And that honey is coming out now. That's just absolutely gorgeous. And all the time it has that sort of, you know, Arran sort of tropical character, but, you know, it again, like I said, it's not sort of a huge tropical monster. It's very restrained. It's very, very elegant. It's kind of all held together really well. Very nice. More oak now. Very subtle, creamy American oak. Dare I say, a little less complex now. The oak seems to, or certainly the American oak seems to have sort of taken control now once you put a little drop of water with it. Peat has practically vanished, although again it's just kind of there at the edges, as sort of more of an intimation of peat rather than a sort of full-on sort of note. Dry, again more sort of barley and less of the overt tropical fruit, but again the fruit is still there, and it's, you know, really nice, really coating. I think sort of personally I would opt to take it neat. I don't think it, I mean the nose certainly sort of, it comes over really nicely with a drop of water, but yeah, I think the palate loses something a little bit along the way, and I would, yeah, I think I would opt to sort of drink that neat. So, but you know, really nice, very enjoyable. Right, okay, on to the AD Rattray 13-year-old. Again, as you can see, a bourbon cask. I'll try not to drink too much so I can put a little drop of water with it. Let's see what the nose gives us. Now, it's kind of got an element of the 12-year-old. It's very, very barley, husky, reedy, very spicy. Quite a bit of alcohol, so I guess you're probably looking at sort of like 40, 53, 54, 55 maybe. A bit of chocolate. A little bit of sort of mockery, coffee, wood notes, and again a sort of a touch of herbalness. It's you can sense the fruit. The fruit is definitely there, and it's that sort of barley character again that's certainly the more dominant note, but lovely sweetness. Yep, that's nice. Okay, palate. Just take a little bit. Quite tannic. Milky, creamy vanillins. Plenty of alcohol. Very drying. Again, big peppery spice hit now. Sort of Talisker-esque, a bit of pepper there, I think. Again, very dry. The alcohol, the tannins, they're all sort of drying the mouth out, and it's got quite an austere finish. But the aftertaste is lovely. Again, it's that sort of slightly rich, New Worldy Sauvignon kind of character with the grassiness. But you know, that's really nice. So I've left just enough in the glass to warrant putting a little drop of water with it. So I shall be judicious with this. That'll do. Yeah, a lot more grassy, sort of herbaceous honey, slightly nettly, but lovely honey character. Very, very aromatic. That's really released well now. A little bit of flowers, some white flower, a little bit of orange blossom maybe. Actually, quite a lot of orange blossom. It's getting very orangey now. It's too orangey for crows, just for me, my dog. That's nice. That's a lovely nose. quite milky. Dare I say, a little bit vapid. Ends very abruptly. The oak really has kind of got in on this one. I mean, there's some fruit there, yes, but the oak seems to have sort of like gripped the that sort of fruit character in a right vice. Bit short, a little bit of spice. You know, it's okay. It's probably not the greatest bottling of Arran, but you know, it's not bad. Yeah, it's a bit short. Right, and finally the Murray McDavid 12-year-old, finished in ex-Chateau Margaux casks. As you probably know, Murray McDavid have this fetish for finishing practically every whiskey in some form of wine cask or other, which over the years some have worked, and some I guess well, they haven't worked basically. So let's see what the nose gives us on this. It's got a sort of sweet, kind of juicy, plummy sort of note, but you know, it's got some again, it's got that barley, slightly gristy character, but it is heavy on the finish. It's not unbalanced. It's not too finished, but it's different. It's interesting. A little bit of spiciness, very smidge of peat, but you know, that sort of plummy, sort of blackcurranty, juicy fruit's got a real sweetness to it. Bit of coffee maybe. Yeah, it's not bad. It's pleasant. It's can't remember whether I stocked it or not, but yeah, it's enjoyable. It's different. You know, adds a bit of edge. Right, let's see what the palate gives us then, shall we? Finishes up first is that sort of winey, plummy juiciness. A little bit of gingerbread. Quite dry. Not a huge amount of the distillery character coming through. There's a sort of feeling of the sort of barley kind of character. A little bit of grassiness. But it does dry. There's a lot of, not bitterness, but a lot of tannins on the finish, which does kind of give you a sort of a woody, sort of spicy finish, but it is quite an abrupt finish, which can often be the case with wine finishes. They do have a tendency to sort of add sort of a little bit more sort of tannin to a whiskey. And it's not bad. It's enjoyable. I don't think I would sort of, you know, go overboard over it, it has to be said, but, you know, pleasant, yeah, different. Right, okay, let's sum these up then, shall we? Well, goes without saying, Arran, as you say, you know, or as I've said on quite a few occasions, you know, a very, very good distillery, making some, you know, interesting spirit. 12-year-old cask strength, really like it. Not, like I said, not as overtly fruity or tropical, should I say, as the 10-year-old and the 14-year-old. A little bit more sort of barley character, a bit more husky, a bit more sort of, you know, a bit more natural, I suppose, than either of the other two bottlings. But you know, definitely worth looking at. Definitely available to purchase on our website www.gauntleys.com. And yeah, I really rate that. I really like it. Devils Punchbowl, really intriguing, really interesting. A textbook example of how to vat together different casks, different distilled whiskies, peated whiskies. You know, really interesting. I like it. I mean, and like I said, you know, if you've bought a bottle, then you know you've got a lovely whiskey. If you didn't get the opportunity to get one, well, that's the way of these things. It was limited to, I believe, 6,660 bottles. So if you're lucky enough to get hold of one of them, then hats off to you. You've got a lovely dram. The AD Rattray, yeah, it was okay. The nose was I thought was really good. The palate, when it was neat, I thought was okay. Stick a little bit of water with it, and it wasn't really lighting my fire. Not a bad dram, but you know, I just didn't really get particularly excited about that at all. So you know, interesting. It certainly showed the distillery character. Like I said, there was a definite correlation between it and the 12-year-old cask strength. So you know, again, yeah, not a bad whiskey. And the Murray McDavid. Wine finishes are always going to be hit and miss. It has to be said. You know, yes, they do add a little bit of difference, a bit of interest. You know, and certainly it does no harm at all to have a few of these bottlings, you know, in the range, so to speak. So, but yeah, that was okay. I mean, it was pleasant enough. Maybe at the end of the day, I'm a little bit too much of a purist, and I like to see distillery character. I like sort of, you know, I don't want one flavour or another to sort of generally overwhelm things, which is why, you know, I'm not the world's biggest fan of sherry cask whiskies, as you well know. But you know, not a bad whiskey. You know, it's, you know, there are a lot of people that sort of, you know, really like those kind of things, and so overall, you know, not bad. But again, it's not kind of lit my fire, so to speak. So. Well, there you go. That's it. Yet another look at Arran. I hope you've enjoyed the show, and if you pop along to my WordPress blog, obviously you can read all my tasting notes on these. And like I said, you know, the 12-year-old is available to purchase on our website. So all that's left to do is basically say, let's go dancing with the devil. Good night. Mm.